Hello, I'm Dawson. If you're clicking on this video, you're probably thinking right about now, I should probably click off. That's, at least what YouTube retention analytics tells me, but who am I to judge? Actually, that's kind of the point of this channel, is judging things and stuff, but regardless, this is a new video format. Those of you seeing this for the first time, welcome to Have You Met Dawson. Most of my videos don't look like this, but we're trying something new. This is going to be more of an art video, actually. I'm going to talk about some of my thoughts on the Alien movies as I draw some of the Alien characters. And, yeah, got a warmer light up here. Got a mic stand with a tiny little mic. And, yeah, this is the peak of comedy. So don't expect anything funnier just from the world, because this can't be topped. Let's start with my drawing of the Xenomorph, and we will just go through, my process kind of, and just my thoughts on Alien as a movie. Pew, pew. Future me, let's do an explosion. I think that would be a really nice intro. Just, yeah, explosion. Please, come on, just, okay? Thank you. You see how cool that was? So starting off here, yeah, I'm just sketching out essentially my overall shapes of how I want this to look. The Xenomorph itself has a very distinctive shape. It was actually designed to be phallic. Phallic. What? Sorry, I'm just reading off my notes here, and I don't... What does phallic mean? Hey Siri, what does phallic mean? Anyways, so yeah, I'm just sketching out basically what I want the pose to be for this, and just playing around with the angle specifically. And Xenomorph has a very specific design. It's very mechanical almost, so I wanted to convey its movements as a little less flowy, I guess, than normal. Starting just with my thoughts on this movie, Alien was a big surprise to me how much I enjoyed it. I kind of went into this movie thinking, it's another one of those classic horror movies that everybody says is great, but never really is, in my opinion. This was my experience, at least, with Nightmare on Elm Street. I kind of hated that movie. I'm not gonna lie to you. I watched it and I was like, this sucks, quite frankly. I like the idea behind it. I think for the time it was probably good, but now, to be considered one of the best horror movies, it was just super cheesy. But I watched Alien going in with the mindset that this may not be very good. I've heard it's good, might not be that good. Shout out to Eric Voss from New Rockstars, though, because he has said multiple times it was his favorite movie. That's basically what convinced me to watch it, I'm not gonna lie. And I ended up loving it. This movie does a great job of utilizing the tactics of horror overall. It's just the way it uses darkness and not actually showing the monster. We see this in Jaws, right? There's a reason they don't show the shark in Jaws, because once you see the shark, it's not as scary. Great job of doing that in this movie with the Xenomorph itself. Makes it really hard to draw, though, and get references for. But as you can see here, I did my best. I tried to reflect that skeletal figure that was inside of the actual dome of the Xenomorph, and yeah, in the coloring stages especially, was really hard to get that gleam on. Trying to make it look almost translucent. What's actually really cool is the skeleton was a real human skeleton. I don't know why I said that was cool. That's terrifying. But yeah, the guy who made the suit used a real skeleton. But one thing I love about this movie is just its progressiveness for the time. There's so many metaphors in this movie and the way that it's structured, and it's just so well done. Like I said before, the Xenomorph being structured to be kind of a phallic symbol is supposed to be metaphorical for basically sexual assault. There's a lot of instances in this movie that are very, let's say a lot of the kills are supposed to make you feel uncomfortable because they are very intimate in the way that they are done. Just starting off the cycle of the xenomorph, it literally impregnates you through your mouth. It attaches to your face, blah, and then puts its eggs inside of you, and then they pop out. It's a more visceral depiction of, I guess, a xenomorph version of birth, and unwilling, of course. So there's a lot of metaphors at the time of 1979 when this came out, I think, that are honestly super cool that that are honestly like super ahead of its time to be talking about this. This is not something that was very much talked about, and the way that it's used for conveying horror and just uncomfort in the viewer is very well done, I feel. And let's just take a second to talk about the cast of this movie, because Ripley as a character is just awesome. Like, probably one of the strongest female characters I've seen, especially in a movie from this era. I was blown away by how well her character was done, even though they kind of sexualized her at the end, which is unfortunate because that's something that happened a lot at the time. Think about, Leia in Empire Strikes Back, as I often do. But seriously, like, they keep doing this with female characters and they just don't let them just be strong. And I think this was corrected, especially in Alien 2, which we'll talk about later. But overall, the use of diversity actually in this movie too, the last 3 people alive in this are, a woman, a black man, and a transgender woman, which is not confirmed in the first movie, but it is talked about in the second movie in a file that one of the characters is transgender. So I think just the fact that a movie in 1970 was able to do this and still pull off an effective horror thriller with all of these metaphors and all these meanings is so impressive to me, and there's just something so cool about the way this was done. Getting a little bit back into my drawing process here, I use a lot of colors. It's kind of, I don't know, it's me trying to develop a style, I guess. But colors are, to me, the most important thing, and the xenomorph is very slimy, it's very evil, cold-hearted, its planet especially has a lot of blues, a lot of darkness, so I wanted to convey that here. I wanted to do most of this in just black, blues, and purples. Gives it that cool tone, and it kind of makes it a little bit more scary, I guess. I also had to include, of course, that inner mouth thing that it has that just makes its threat so much more disturbing, and it, again, kind of adds to that fear of kill via penetration. So yeah, then I did a background for it. This was painted on a separate sheet, and then I just scanned it in, blurred it, and then scanned my xenomorph in, laid it on top, and that is the final xenomorph piece. Altogether, I would give Alien as a movie, I would say a 9.5 out of 10. Again, I was amazed by the techniques it used for its time, and so much things, so much innovation, right? So many new concepts and new ways of storytelling were coming out of this era, and this just really, I don't know, something about it hit home for me, and I was very pleasantly surprised. And I've rewatched the movie again, and I still enjoy it. I've seen it twice now, and yeah, totally recommend you watching this movie. It might be, in my opinion, the best made horror movie I've seen. It's not my favorite. Those gotta go to It and It Chapter 2, because I love the kids in that, but I would definitely say this is probably the best made horror movie. Or film, if you want to get pretentious. But movie. Okay, so here we can see my sketching process. This is a little bit different because I will be drawing Ellen Ripley from Aliens, the sequel to Alien, which just title name. Great job on James Cameron. Apparently in that pitch, he wrote Alien and then added an S and then put 2 lines through the S to make it a $sign. That was his pitch, and it worked. He got the movie. So, that guy has confidence like no other. Is it a good thing? So anyways, yeah, this is Ripley. I tend to go more blocky with my humans that I sketch out, just because I know most artists traditionally say draw a circle when starting ahead. I draw a square. I just feel like it's more encompassing and it works better for my style. Ripley, I had a lot of trouble with drawing. I've tried to draw her, I think, 3 times in the past since I saw the first Alien, and honestly, she's hard to draw. She's very hard to draw because her features borderline masculine and feminine, and drawing a male and a female are 2 very different tasks, one of which I'm better at, so it was a struggle, but I think eventually I got her likeness in the end. Here I'm focusing mostly on the gun. The gun, again, was a bigger task for me because I am not used to drawing objects. I mostly draw portraits. These are some of the first I've done that were like actual full-on, like more than a bust. You know, it has like arms and stuff. It's an actual pose. So I wanted to make sure that gun really stood out because that's a very important piece of her character in Aliens, which Aliens I watched, I think, less than a week ago, and James Cameron kind of surprised me. You know, I am a fan of some of his films. I really liked Titanic. I didn't think I would, but that was a really good movie. I'm kind of a sucker for love stories. Avatar, of course, and Avatar: Way of Water. Great movies. You know, as much as sometimes he's a little full of himself, it's also kind of deserved because he's really good. Terminator 2 is another one I watched recently. I just didn't really get the hype. Maybe it was better for the to see it in the time it was made, but I just wasn't for me. I don't know. But I see this movie, Aliens, is one of the most interesting sequels I've ever seen, because what it does is it takes the original genre of this franchise, Alien being a horror movie, and it kind of flips it and changes it, but it still works so well. So this movie is actually primarily a action movie, similar to Terminator 2, except better. It's an action movie. It's about finding and killing all these aliens, right? And it throws this survivor of the Nostromo accident, Ripley, as a character who is kind of tortured by her memories here, and it gives her a chance to redeem herself. It's revealed in this movie that she had a daughter that she didn't get to see grow up because of being on the Nostromo and being frozen in space for so long. This movie gives her a chance to have that motherly relationship, right? It gives her a chance to meet the character of Newt, who is a girl who is left in this planet surrounded by aliens, and Ripley ends up saving her, and she goes full-on action hero. And it's awesome because you get to see the payoff of her trauma. She has been pushed to the point where she is done hiding and running like she was mostly doing in Alien, and she gets to fight back and kill all these aliens. And it ends in such a great climax of mother figure versus mother figure, the queen of this aliens versus the mother figure of Newt now carried on. And even after Ripley wins this battle, Newt calls her mom. It has a really great emotional arc for an action movie. I have a lot of issues with action movies that don't feature, you know, prominent emotional roles. This is my issue with some of the early Mission Impossible movies, and it has been my issue with some action movies recently. This is completely different to me. I genuinely think this might be my favorite action movie I've seen, because it, especially from the 80s and 90s, because it's done so well. One thing I do want to talk about in the drawing here is the face. The face is always, to me, the most important part, aside from the gun, which I did put a lot of detail in. I kind of screwed up on the perspective a little bit. It looks like the gun's kind of curved, but the face is the most important because that's how you convey the character and the emotion. Much like movies, like the action movie I was talking about, emotion is the most important part to any piece of art, right? You want the viewer to clearly be able to tell what the character is feeling, if they're scared, if they're hurt, whatever, right? Because you need to connect to them. You need to connect to the viewer. Same kind of the approach I take with the art. The eyes and the face are the window to the soul, right? Cliche. But it is important, especially in these pieces, that the people can see, you know, they can see the character. They can see the person that I'm trying to draw and how they're feeling. So I think I was able to capture Ripley in my stylized face a little bit. I could have done a little bit better, but that's besides the point. I didn't have this issue, the Xenomorph, because it's more based off of shape and design than it is facial structure. I think I did pretty okay on this right arm here. It's kind of well established, and the shading works to bring it in with the gun. However, the left arm, which you'll see when I color it in, I had such a hard time with. It was a big struggle for me. Similar, I would say, to the struggle of the humans on the planet full of aliens. In Aliens, the crew, I would say, is probably better than the Alien crew, even though I love the direction that they took. It just, I don't know, something about it really worked for me. This movie, you know, it gives us those token characters, and it kind of allows them to break the rules a little bit. That game over, man!
Game over, man! It's game over!
That whole thing, that is such an iconic line, and it came out of a character from this movie, and I didn't even realize it till I'm like sitting there watching the TV like that Leonardo DiCaprio meme going, oh my god, that's that thing. So the amount of iconic things from this movie, the amount of, you know, hard work went into it by James Cameron to build up what had already been laid by Ridley Scott in the Alien movie. So yeah, kind of wrapping up with this arm, it was this big struggle for me, and I ended up, actually after this video ends, changing it. I originally kind of had it going behind her, because in the reference she was holding Newt's hand behind her, which wasn't seen, obviously, and it just looked wrong. It looked like it was in her pocket, so I ended up changing it and altering it so it was underneath the first gun, holding onto the flamethrower, which was attached below. So that's the move I made. I don't think it looks very great, but it was the best I could do to try and save the piece. Then I took this background, of course, that I had on the last piece, and I just, you know, put Ripley over it, flipped it around, gave a different perspective on it, and that's my finished piece. Overall, I'm gonna have to give this one a 9 out of 10. I think Alien is better, but Aliens does a lot for me in terms of sequels that I think needs to be done in the future way more. Even though this movie came out in the 90s, so in the future has kind of been 30 years, but you know. So yeah, I hope you guys like this format. I obviously will play around with it some more, do some more drawings. Let me know what you think. I am open to doing pretty much anything. I just want to talk about nerdy stuff. Let me know what you guys want to talk about. Let's do it. Let's have a nerdy conversation. I'm your guy. Yeah, so let me know. Like, comment, subscribe, please. I think at this point we're at 200. It's a little bit audacious for me to say. I think that's a word. I think, yeah, that's a little audacious for me to say, even though I'm at 199 as of filming this, but I think we'll be at 200. I want to get to 500 so I can sell prints of my art on this YouTube. Stickers, you know? Let me know what you want to see me draw. Let me see what... Let me know what you want to see me talk about. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.